Hello, and welcome to a very special episode. This episode, we'll be talking about the power of forgiveness in the pelvic bowl. And I have a very special friend of mine, Sigrid, here with me, who is a magnificent energetic body worker and a womb healer who wants to share with us today, or who I've asked to share with us today, the importance of venturing into the pelvic bowl and really taking the time and the space to understand what is sitting there and what needs to be released in order for us to be granted, in a sense, freedom, I suppose. But I'll just hand over to you, Sigrid, to sort of let everyone know what actually the concept of forgiveness in the pelvic bowl is, and a little bit about you.
Cool. Thanks, Casey. So, yeah, I'm an energetic body worker and I've been doing massage and energy healing for around 10 years now. And then most recently, I have dived into the world of womb healing after my own journey with womb healing. And I've just found that it's been an incredible journey because there's so many layers of healing within the pelvic bowl. So I studied with Carol Jones, who is with Claire Spink, and they do womb and fertility massage. And I've also studied with Tami Lynn Kent, who does Holistic Pelvic Care, which is internal vaginal massage. And so those are the two modalities that have really anchored like the physical side of the physical and energetic side of womb healing for me. So this topic, like forgiveness within the pelvic bowl, essentially it's around like understanding what's happened to us and why we've got contraction and patterns of, I'd say, like blockages within our pelvic space and how that shows up through maybe not being open to new relationships, maybe feeling contracted while we are lovemaking, maybe feeling all these really intense emotions of anger or rage, and then not quite understanding why they're there. And then when we track back the seed of why they're there, it may have to do with something that's happened to you where you feel like you've been, I'm using the word trespassed, and I feel like that's the word I want to use right now because it's kind of like our pelvic space, our internal space is so sacred that when people enter into that space physically, energetically, emotionally, and we don't feel safe, that we take upon like their energy into our system. And at times that can, like, of course, cause like rupture. It can cause like, feelings of being contracted because you don't feel safe. So forgiveness within the pelvic space is more about forgiving those people or situations that have harmed you and that have made you feel unsafe in a place where you should really feel safe. Because as women, it's our sacred space, it's our sacred internal space. So when we have things happen to us like assault, abuse, maybe feeling objectified, feeling, uncomfortable when we don't want to feel uncomfortable, it can feel like, something really, it can feel really abrasive. So the forgiveness is around putting down the stones, putting down the heaviness, and saying, this is not something I want to carry in this space anymore. But part of the process of forgiveness is actually allowing ourselves to fully feel the anger, the disappointment, the feelings of having our boundaries being crossed and being unsure at the time, and then realizing, oh man, that was a boundary you just crossed, like damn, so it's a really layered process to begin to clear the energy of the bowl so that we can invite new ways of relating to other people, but also new, and more importantly, new ways of relating to ourselves in our sensuality, in our pleasure, but also with just the relationship with our womb.
Yeah. It
it's
has
not
a
just about,
voice.
yeah, it does. Yeah. And so I guess, yeah, when I had a friend of mine ask me recently, she's like, yeah, just not so spiritual. She's just like a really good friend. And she was like, what do you mean by energy of the womb? Like, what is womb? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, you know how your heart has an energy and you feel like the energy of your heart. So if you feel disconnected from your heart, you feel a bit of numbness. You may be feeling really like, spacey. You just don't feel at home. It's the same feeling in our bowl. So if we don't feel connected to our bowl, there's going to be numbness, there's going to be disconnection, there's going to be a sense of like uneasiness or just not having a relationship there. So this is all about building relationships.
And it sort of, it can show itself in many different ways as well. Like personally, expression, like contracting with expression has been something that the disconnect from my womb space has stifled. I've noticed in my life, like, and stepping into a deeper relationship with my womb, to really listen and hear and to acknowledge what she has to say, is allowing slowly, little by little, the expression to move through my life. That's just
Mm.
one aspect that I've personally experienced. But I'd like to ask you, like, what, if you would like to share a little bit about your personal womb journey, just so people can understand what it may show up like in their own lives. And because I know for me, mine started in 2019, really. And prior to that, I'm like, what? What? Like, it's not something that's widely spoken of. And I mean, in our circles, yes, but not to the wider group. And yeah, if you would like to share a little, feel
Yeah.
free.
Yes, please. Yeah. Um, so yeah, my womb healing journey started when I was quite young because I was really aware of um like how disconnected I felt from my femininity.
Mm,
So I felt really disconnected during my menstrual cycle when I first got my menstrual cycle. Like I didn't really know what was going on. My mum didn't explain it to me. I didn't really understand it. And I just felt this guilt and this repression around my sexuality from like a really young age. And a lot of that was quite cultural.
mm,
Like my mum, I grew up Catholic. My mum's Filipino, like very conservative. I love my mum dearly, but there was just a lot of like language around sex is bad and
mm.
like this is like dangerous, and so that fear of like intimacy and enjoyment of my body was like really kind of entrenched in me from quite like basically from my period on, so about 13 years of age. And reclaiming that space, which means coming back into a relationship with my womb that feels like a relationship that's about me and
Mm.
not about like the society or like the culture that I grew up on, has been a really long journey. I guess one of the things that I found like, yeah, the most profound with my womb journey was that I found a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago or so, a Tantra yoga school.
Mm.
And Tantra yoga is not just the Tantra lovemaking, it's actually a whole host of like other teachings. And a lot of the teachings around Tantra are asana, so really slow yoga teachings, like really slow yoga. It's like a form of hatha yoga. And so it's about working with the energies, your chakra system, to bring the energy up the body and up the spine, so that rather than kind of having the energy stuck around the pelvic bowl or stuck around swadhisthana, you're raising the energy up. And so you're raising the consciousness like up your body. And I'm very energetic. I'm very sensitive to energy. So I found that this practice has been a really grounding practice for me because it's helped me to unlock different blockages within my body and start to clear energies that have felt really heavy. Yeah, another thing that I've definitely come more into healing with is patterns of disassociation versus patterns of connection. So during lovemaking, and I know I'm not the only one, there were times when I was in my 20s, and not so much these days, no, but where we would be lovemaking and I would go somewhere. I would just be totally not in my body. I would not be present. I'd just be somewhere watching. And that is definitely a trauma response, and it can be for, several different reasons, but that just continually happened. And then I would, after the session and after the lovemaking, I would feel really disconnected. I'd get really upset. I'd feel really used, even though I had said I was a participant. I had put I'd said I was fully in the process, and I was physically in the process, but then there was a lot of pain as well. So the desire for connection being there, but then also this kind of the pain that would come up because I'd want the connection, but then I'd get into disassociation. So that was like a rupture. So part of healing that has been coming into more slowness, being more intimate, being really safe around the person that I'm intimate with. That's been really important. And there's many different ways to have safety in a relationship and to feel that trust. And that's a big part of developing the trust within yourself, but also developing the trust within a partnership for lovemaking.
Oh, totally. It's like it starts with your relationship with yourself. And I mean, my experience is, it feels very disjointed and kind of comes and goes, and it's back and forth. And I feel similar to how you mentioned you were disconnected from your femininity. I felt, and I still get moments of it, really frightened by it. Like there's deep fear around really showing up playfully and really being fully expressive and releasing the emotions that need to come through when they need to come through. There's still fear. And I've noticed over the years from doing different types of womb work, and my experience with it has been more energetic. So I've done a lot of energy work, and I was fortunate enough to do some work in Ireland with a now good friend of mine, Jennifer, and she did this incredible womb blessing. It was very ceremonial, and she held this space that felt really ancient. Like what that signified to me as well was, this is not just from this lifetime. What we're carrying in our wombs, in our pelvic bowls, is not just from now. It's from God knows how long. And we have this opportunity to connect, understand, release, and then, I guess, expand. And over the years going into it, like there's been so much terror and rage and often no story attached, just like she's pissed, like, why have you ignored me for your whole life? Like, why are you not communicating with me? Why are you putting me in these situations? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And not asking me. And like the more and more I build this relationship and listen, like I can't go against it anymore. Like it's like if it's a no, it's a no, and I can't push beyond that no. But I guess the main point of my sharing this is that it's not an easy path or an easy journey to connect with the womb, your womb, but it's like it brings life to life. It's like everything becomes alive, because the more and more more and more I've connected and given time and like experience and all these moments, I'm gifted something on the other side of the experience, and it's this deeper sense of senses and deeper like ability to really feel and enjoy like lovemaking and really like be present and like experience at new levels. And it's like, as a woman, I mean, I think it's imperative to build a relationship and then see what it has to say and allow it to forgive you as well. I mean, it needs to forgive you for abandoning it and not knowing that that relationship was even possible. Because how
That's
on
so
earth are
true.
we meant to know this, you know?
That's so true. And like, yeah, I was, yeah, that. Mm. So I see that within myself, and I also witness that within clients of the sadness and the grief that comes up when they realize how powerful she is, how powerful they are when they're in deep connection to their womb space. And then there's a sadness there of like, I'm sorry for abandoning you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry for not checking in and seeing how you are and what you need in order to feel safe, in order to have your needs met, in order to feel, of course, voluptuous and expansive and creative, but safety is the first thing.
Yeah.
Really don't think we can get to those spaces until we feel safe and grounded. And the other thing I wanted to share about that beautiful ritual that you said was so ancient is that this is the reclamation of the feminine, which is the age we're currently in, which is that so many women, ourselves, of course, included, are remembering that we had the priestess cults, are remembering that we had, the temples that worshipped the feminine, that worshipped the goddess, like, yeah, and that part of like the healing and the repair is remembering that we've always done this. So
Yeah.
even when things start to feel uncomfortable, for example, you're doing a new practice of like, what am I doing talking to my womb and checking in with her? And this is weird. And, and when you do anything new, of course it's going to feel uncomfortable. But that's a part of the healing because it's remembering that we've actually always done this. And when we're in, like you and I are with each other and also our community, when you're in safe spaces with sisters that are also doing the work, you're very much a support for each other. Because this is how it has always been. We were always in villages. We would bleed together. We would eat together. We would have our babies together. We would do the whole of it together. And we would never feel alone in that process. So a part of the forgiveness is forgiving ourselves. And this is something that Tami says a lot, for the ruptures of society.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I want to rephrase it, not forgiving ourselves, but forgiving the rupture of society, which is when we ruptured and we stopped living in community, we stopped living in villages, we started becoming really autonomous, really independent, financially, physically, we moved away from the points of connection. And in a way, our internal space reflects the external space. So we moved away from connection to, of course, our wombs, but also our hearts, our feeling centers, our intuition. And at the same time, we moved away from the connection that was possible in the external space within community. So a lot of the reclaiming of our pelvic bowl, the cleansing, the forgiveness of ourselves, of other people, and then coming back into, okay, what am I ready to seed here? What am I ready to plant here new? Is planting those roots of connection, drawing those roots of connection down into the earth, drawing those roots of connection down into a desire for community. You can be an introvert and still have a desire for community, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I know that a lot of people say that about, being empaths and things, and being super sensitive. And I totally get that. But, there's still like a need for community.
I find like, over the course of the years, and from my experience early on being super sensitive, I would always withdraw and always go into spaces to take space for myself, like on my own and longer stints. And the more and more I have connected and really gone into the womb space, the more and more I want to be around people, because I think in that as well, learning boundaries and learning, when to say no and when and that's okay to not want to be in that community group in that moment or with that person, because you've got that relationship with your womb and your heart, and you know when to move away from that situation. Whereas before, being sensitive, thinking about what everyone else wanted or needed and not my own needs. So I think the relationship with the womb, with the heart, mind, allows for that that connection, deeper connection, and then that external deeper connection with the community as well. But what I might just go into briefly is just to ask you what ways in which would you advise for people to go into their pelvic bowl or their womb space and start the forgiveness process?
Cool. So I think it's important to really set enough time aside to do this work. Like, so say if you've got an hour, 2 hours would be great to do ceremony. That's a great place to start. And what that can look like is exploring the relationships that you feel like you need to forgive. So was there an ex-partner that you feel like is still in your field and they're showing up in all the other relationships that keep being attracted to you? An example. Is there someone from your childhood that, you had a fight with and for some reason you just can't put it down, you keep thinking about it? It's like all of the relationships. And even though it might be like, well, how is the relationship with an estranged father related to my pelvic bowl? I guarantee you it'll be related. There'll be some way that it's related, even if you don't fully understand it. So forgiveness in the pelvic bowl is also forgiveness of like the relationships in general. And then there'll be a way that it's related somehow, but it's about forgiving. So that's one part of the forgiveness. There is, of course, the more specific forgiveness, which could be around, a sexual experience that you had that you found really traumatizing. It could be around something that you've blocked off from childhood that happened to you that was really traumatic. There's a whole range of things. And the process, take it slow. There's no rush. When I was in my early 20s, I was doing a lot of forgiveness around my own situations, and I was rushing with my forgiveness. I was rushing to get to this certain point, and it just made me really sick. So know that there is time to do this, and also ask for support. So it could look like you sitting down and journaling and then burning the pieces of paper that you're writing a forgiveness letter. You're writing, you trespassed me in this way and that was not okay, but I'm going to release you to the fire. So it could look like some journaling and burning the letter. It could look like doing that followed by a yoni steam. And with the yoni steam, you're working with the herbs and the water, and you do prayer with the herbs and the water. And then you're allowing the steam from the water to cleanse your vagina, cleanse your womb space. And while you're breathing, you can also like invite the steam to kind of enter into you, and you visualize it like clearing out your bowl. One way that I like to work with like the steam and the energy of like the water with the yoni steaming.
And with the yoni steaming, because it's not a very common practice.
Oh, yeah.
Where do people find, just so they know, where would they find like these particular herbs, or know how to do it, I suppose? Because I know, like my experience, I went to, what is it, like those herbal stores, and they sell them in the packs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you can do that. But I know there's also, I've got a friend of mine actually in the Northern Rivers. I think her Instagram name, maybe we can link it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Danny Goddess.
Okay.
Yeah, so she does work with women with yoni steaming. So you can, have someone there as support as well, or someone to reach out and ask questions to. But yeah, you can also buy the herbs in like, a herbal store. You can make your own batch of herbs if you've got it. I know that there's a woman I met recently who said she used chamomile tea because chamomile tea is available and it's everywhere. So you're like steeping the water with the herbs, doing prayer with the herbs, and then kind of squatting over the bowl and allowing the steam to rise. I won't go into too much detail because
No,
I feel
that's
like
good. Just because it's like
detailed
it's not a
process.
big, a widely known.
Yes, no, it is.
So I just wanted to touch on it, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I mean, it's a beautiful process. There's also de-armoring, which is a process of like doing self-internal massage. There are also people like myself that do internal massage, and that can be a process of de-armoring. So that's one of the words that's used for it. But basically it's like all the tissue inside our pelvic space might be tight or constricted. The fascia is holding a lot of memory. And so we're working with the internal space to help move that energy, so move any stagnancy or move any tightness. And that could look like yourself doing a little internal exploration, checking the left side, going around your bowl, just like seeing how it's going. And then if you find a point of tension, you just kind of sit there and you breathe, and like stuff will come up, memories will come up, energy might start rising, and the intention being for healing. And of course, it can be about pleasure as well, absolutely. But I guess I'm just talking about it from like a healing point of view right now. That's really beautiful. It's also nice to have support for that if you feel like having a space holder. So I do that work. There's many other women who do, tantric massage, internal massage, yoni massage, holistic pelvic care, which I highly recommend. That's a training by Tami Lynn Kent. Another support is
Wild Feminine, is that?
Yes, she wrote the Wild Feminine. Yeah. So she's my teacher that I studied with. She's amazing. I've wanted to study with her for years, and then COVID happened, so there's just been a bit of a pause on trainings. But she was amazing, and her books Wild Feminine and also Wild Creative, they talk all about the pelvic bowl. They're just in there, but I can't get them.
No, it's okay. We can share them.
We'll share them in another.
But they have like little cues on. I remember reading Wild Feminine, and it gives you examples of how to actually self-explore and where to go with your massage, because it's quite confronting. A confronting process to take the time. I mean, even to massage your body, it's not often that you give yourself the time to do that. But this is far deeper and it's really intimate. And if you're experiencing numbness when you're going into that space with yourself, then the first thing you want to do is get out and be like, no more. But to stay there and be with the numbness and really understand why it's numb, and go beyond that. So yeah, I find that's, sorry, I did jump in there with the Wild Feminine thing. So
absolutely. Yeah, no, I would have forgotten. Like I mean,
it's just helpful.
We're all going to share resources for sure. And she's an incredible teacher. So I really highly recommend her. I've been telling lots of my clients about Tami's work, which I definitely accredit to stuff that I've learned and integrated as well.
And your work, you do magnificent work, and just being with you as a friend and sharing in your wisdom and your knowledge, I feel expanded every time I'm with you. And I will share your details under, like, if people want to connect one-on-one with you, because for something so possibly foreign for a lot of women to be in the hands of someone that's walked the path and that has this deep passion for your work like you do, and this love for your work, I feel like it's such a beautiful way to enter into the process. I mean, I just recall my beginning of my process and having that ceremony and being initiated, it felt like, into this new way of being, was really profound. And I would suggest to work with someone, if it's Sigrid or someone else, and give yourself this permission to feel the feelings and feel the pain and feel the rage. Like, in the lead up to just this recording, I've been experiencing all kinds of rage and shit coming out of me, and I have been feeling into forgiveness the last couple of days, and what I'm finding under the rage is just this beautiful sadness, and and this calm comes after the rage is done, and dancing it out or something like that helps as well, not having to really always listen but just move it. It's been really helpful. But is there anything like that you'd also like to touch on in that, what someone would choose to do to step into it? So like you were just sharing, is there anything that you missed? I suppose what I'm asking, is there anything that you missed that you want to say for anyone that is curious or frightened or mm.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I guess know that you're not alone in it.
Mm.
Like there's so many beautiful space holders, friends, healers that are so ready to offer this space because it's just, so deeply needed.
Mm.
Yeah. Like I see a lot of women that have, that have are going through like endo or period pain or have had a hysterectomy or like, a whole host of, I guess, like physical things, or they've had they've had pregnancy and then postpartum, they've had tearing, and there's like a real sense of disconnection and and then like a desire to know her more.
Mm.
So it's almost like the disconnection, the rupture, um, and then the need for repair is actually strengthening and deepening that connection even more.
Yeah.
So it's never that we've gone too far and we can never come back. You know what I mean? Like that's never true. Like we're always in association. We're always in, relationship with, and part of deepening the relationship with ourselves is deepening our relationships with our wombs, with our pelvic bowl, and coming back into a space of like deep gratitude for
Mm.
like the miracle of our body. Like our bodies are just like, yeah, quite insane.
Yeah. The wisdom, man, the wisdom of our body, and like
Yeah.
how it just tells us what we need to know, or like, but yeah, that's really, thank you for sharing. And before we finish, I think we should just mention what's on the other side of
Yeah.
the blocks and the rage, or the the heavier emotion. So
Mm.
what can women expect, to experience in the clearing?
Mm. Um, yeah, well, for myself, I am experiencing um, a deeper sense of presence,
Mm.
like just more presence within my own body and within my own life. Um, my powers for manifesting have been pretty full on. They're really strong as well.
I can
So
pay testament to that.
yeah, planting the seeds and just watching what happens is very strong. Deeper levels of intimacy within like yourself and also with a beloved. Feeling a lot more experimental as well. I feel like that's the creativity too coming in. Just like
Yeah.
the idea of like, oh, I'll never, all the me's that say, oh, I'll never get that. Oh, I don't get that. I could never do that. Actually have been coming back around and saying, I can totally do that. That's easy. Who said that I couldn't do that? So really, in working with the pelvic bowl, we're also working to break down any patterns of limitation that we've inherited.
Mm.
Because we're working with ancestral healing when we work with the pelvic bowl. We're working with healing, you know, all the different patterns that have been kind of, you know, passed down, passed along, locked in. And so when you release those patterns, you have, you know, more ability for autonomy and sovereignty, which means more ability to make decisions that are not being like swayed by society pressure or by like a subconscious like limitation. Yeah, just get ready for more freedom, basically.
Yeah, like it's this also this like sensuality, like this like it's like you can feel your body, and it becomes, I mean, it's just such a never-ending journey, never-ending path of exploration and evolution. And it's like when you think that you're kind of you're good, then there's another you know, oncoming, and then it reveals after it, and then you become, you know, like a flower, you know, literally like opening and not being afraid of life, and the ignition of power, like you were saying, and that yes, I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do this, and it's just everything, and relationship to life, like it's just, I mean, it's my favorite, and also my, like, well, not my favorite, my heart, my, oh, I don't know, it's just a huge thing, like it's just this beautiful center for us as women, and this like magic and this wisdom, and we can tap into the wisdom of our ancestors, and you know, all of that magic sits in here. It's like right there. But yeah, I think that we've spoken for a while, and I think there's so much beautiful information in that. So I will summarize everything by firstly thanking you for being here in this experience and sharing your beauty with the world in this space, because I mean, I just, yeah, I very much love you, and I really love the energy that you give to this world, and it is like, I just love learning from you. It's just like, it's fantastic. And again, if you want to work with Sigrid, please just reach out to her. And even I'm not sure if you do online stuff, but
I do.
yeah, so you're accessible everywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, the moment Sydney, South Coast, going to be heading up Byron Way. And yeah, I've just recently met a couple of clients that are in Western Australia. So I'm going to do some online work with one of the women in WA. But, you know, we love to share magic everywhere. So we just go.
Perfect. And you're going to do just a brief little meditation for the womb space before we finish. And I ask that those that are listening just to take a seat and make yourself comfy and get ready for some magic.
Yeah. So I want to just mention that this meditation is based on a teaching by Tami Lynn Kent, who does Holistic Pelvic Care. She's a beautiful teacher. Her book Wild Feminine is a really amazing resource. So,
Thank you.
So let's just find ourselves in a comfortable position, and beginning with 3 nice deep breaths to bring us into presence. And on your next inhale, just inhaling down into your womb space. So you can visualize bringing the breath through the center of your body, through your heart, your belly, into your womb. If it helps, you can have your hands on your hips as well, or over your lower abdomen. Just feeling the warmth from your hands. And calling to mind a healing place in nature. A place that you've visited before, that you feel safe in. And bringing this nature place all around you. Feeling into the elements of this place. Water, trees, rocks, perhaps the ocean. And this healing place is going to be your sanctuary in this short meditation. Next step is just grounding through the earth. So drawing from the bottom of your bowl, your pelvic floor, your perineum, down into the earth. And drawing a grounding cord down. So that may look like an umbilical cord going down from the root of your bowl into the earth. And so breathe down that grounding cord, making that connection with the earth. And just know you can send any energy as you're clearing your bowl down through your grounding cord into the earth. So as you take a nice breath in, breathing into the left-hand side of your pelvic bowl. You can focus on your left hand and the area around your hip if you like as well. And setting the intention to begin to clear the left-hand side of your bowl. So just sweeping out of your bowl any heaviness, maybe stagnancy. You can use your breath and your awareness. You may also like to work with wind or water to clear the bowl on the left-hand side. So just taking a few moments to clear the left-hand side, sweeping it out. And then taking a nice big breath in and moving down your left side. Now we're going to move over to the right-hand side of your bowl. So again, you can focus on your right hand, on your right hip, and just feeling the warmth around your lower abdomen, right side. So breathing into the right-hand side of your bowl. And then exhaling. So inhaling and exhaling. Sweeping out the right-hand side of your bowl. Clearing the energy. Working with water, your breath, your awareness. Just asking anything that is ready to move. You can send it down the grounding cord, back into Pachamama. And one last breath there now, and along the right-hand side, taking a big breath in. And out. And then coming to draw a figure 8 between the right and the left-hand sides of your bowl. So a swirling figure 8 that would be going from one side of your hip to the other side, which encapsulates your whole womb space, all your reproductive organs, your ovaries, your fallopian tube, your uterus. So sweeping in a figure 8 between both sides, joining that energy. And then laying your attention and awareness in the center of your bowl. In the very center, this is where you can plant seeds of intention in the center of your bowl. So planting any seeds of intention that you have for yourself, for what you're growing, what you're manifesting, for what you're calling in. Greater levels of creativity, intimacy, sensuality, connection, expression. Planting those seeds in your bowl. And then watering them with the energy from your heart. So the energy of your heart expanding and breathing them down into the center of your bowl. Watering those seeds. And then connecting with your grounding cord down into the earth, rooting yourself into the present. And finally moving around your bowl, just blessing your bowl. So blessing the wall on your left-hand side, blessing the back of your bowl, blessing the right-hand side of your bowl, just giving gratitude to this powerful center that you hold. Giving immense gratitude to yourself. And then drawing your awareness to your hara, your belly. Maybe you'd like to also place a hand on your heart, anahata. We're just going to thank the healing field as well that you've been in. Thanking the spirits from that healing field, the nature elements. Thanking this time together today. And taking a nice breath in. And a sweeping breath out. Bringing yourself back. Feeling your sits bones on the chair, the ground. Feeling the sensation of your hands on your body. Maybe feeling the breeze touching the skin. Any noises around you. And bringing yourself back into the present.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous
good.
Yeah, I love it when we first did that in class. I was like, oh, I love this. And it's so simple. Like, I love how simple it is. Like, it's just like super straightforward. Like, you could just do that all the time.
We'll let everyone go. Thank you for listening, and reach out to either of us if you would like to work with us. I do Lomi Lomi massage if you're in the Northern Rivers, but also heart work, so energetic heart work. So reach out to either of us and we'd love to work with you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.